She thought he was the janitor, but the man fixing the copier was the millionaire CEO in disguise. The next morning, Emma sat on her small couch, staring blankly at her phone. She could still feel the flush of embarrassment from the night before, the way she had bolted out of the restaurant, leaving the man, who wasn't Kevin, sitting there in confusion. She hadn't even given him a chance to explain himself. The image of his face, looking both surprised and disappointed, replayed in her mind. She groaned, sinking further into the couch. She had messed up. There was no way to go back now. It wasn't like she was expecting to see him again, anyway. A man who looked like that, polished, confident, successful, would never want to see a girl like her again. She'd only embarrassed herself. She tossed her phone aside and stood up, deciding to focus on something else. Her shift at the diner started soon, and she couldn't afford to dwell on the past. Her life wasn't about mistakes. It was about moving forward, even when everything felt like it was falling apart. But fate had a funny way of intervening. As Emma walked into the diner later that afternoon, she spotted a familiar figure sitting at the counter. Liam Parker, the man from the night before. He was sitting there, casually sipping on a cup of coffee, his eyes scanning the menu. He looked just as put together as he had the night before, but there was no mistaking it. It was him. Emma froze for a second, her heart racing. She had to admit, she didn't expect to see him here, of all places. This wasn't how she imagined running into him again. Her stomach did a little flip as she hesitated, unsure whether she should approach him or just pretend she hadn't seen him. But before she could make up her mind, Liam looked up and caught her eye. A faint smile tugged at the corners of his lips, and Emma's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure why, but seeing that smile made the anxiety she had been feeling all day start to fade away. It was like something about him made her feel understood. He didn't look at her like she was beneath him. In fact, his smile was warm, genuine even, like he wasn't holding her previous mistake against her. "Hey, Emma," Liam said, his voice calm and pleasant. "I didn't expect to see you here." Emma took a deep breath, trying to shake off the nerves that had built up in her chest. She forced a smile, her hands still trembling slightly as she adjusted her apron. "I didn't expect to see you either," she said, her voice a little shakier than she would have liked. "What are you doing here?" Liam chuckled, glancing around the diner. "Just grabbing a coffee," he replied. "Thought I'd get something low-key after a busy morning." He paused for a moment, as if choosing his next words carefully. "I know you probably didn't expect to see me after last night." His tone was light, but Emma could tell there was an understanding behind his words. He wasn't mad at her. That was a relief. Emma let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Yeah, I kind of ran off like a crazy person. I'm really sorry about that," she said quickly, her voice almost a whisper as she looked down at her shoes. She didn't want to look at him, didn't want to see the judgment in his eyes. But when she dared to glance up, she was surprised to find him still smiling softly. "It's okay," Liam said. "I didn't mind. Honestly, it was a little funny. I wasn't exactly sure what to say when you sat down at my table, but I figured it was just a mistake." He paused for a moment, his smile shifting to something more thoughtful. "And besides, I kind of like talking to you. You're different. You're real." His words caught Emma off guard. For a moment, she was speechless. Nobody had ever described her that way. Real. It felt good to hear, but also a little scary. It was like he was seeing a side of her that no one ever had. There was a beat of silence between them, both of them unsure of what to say next. Emma shifted uncomfortably, feeling the awkward tension again. But then Liam did something unexpected. He reached for his phone, tapping on it for a moment before sliding it over to her. "Here," he said. "I've got a business event coming up. It's for charity, actually. I'd like you to come as my guest." Emma stared at the phone, unsure whether she had heard him correctly. A business event? Hey, charity event? She shook her head in confusion. "Wait, what? Me?" she asked, her voice rising in surprise. "Why would you invite me to something like that?" Liam leaned back in his seat, his expression calm. "Because I think you'd be good company. And I want to get to know you better, Emma." He looked at her seriously, his eyes holding a hint of sincerity that made her heart skip. "Besides, you've already had a taste of how interesting our world can be. Why not experience it firsthand?" His words were an invitation, an opportunity she wasn't sure she deserved, but somehow couldn't refuse. Emma looked at him for a moment, still processing everything he had just said. She knew she wasn't in his world of success, luxury, and polished events. She was just a waitress at a diner, struggling to make ends meet. But something about his invitation made her want to step outside of her comfort zone. Maybe this was her chance to prove to herself that she could do something different. Maybe it was time for a change. She looked at him and smiled, a little unsure, but mostly excited. Okay, she said softly. I'll go. I'll be there. Liam's eyes lit up, and for the first time, Emma felt a spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, things were about to change for her. The night of the charity event arrived faster than Emma had expected. She stood in front of her small mirror, her heart racing as she adjusted her dress one last time. It was a simple black dress she had found on sale, but the way it fit made her feel almost sophisticated. She didn't belong in a fancy ballroom, didn't belong in the world Liam moved in, but tonight, she would pretend. She took a deep breath and reminded herself that she deserved this. She had come this far, hadn't she? After a quick glance at her phone, she saw that Liam had texted her earlier, reminding her of the event. I'll see you there at 7. Don't be late. It made her smile, though her nerves only grew. She wasn't used to this kind of world, the world of millionaires and high society, but there was something about Liam's invitation that felt genuine, like he really wanted her there. She grabbed her purse and headed out the door. The drive to the venue felt like an eternity. As Emma arrived, the sight of the Grand Hotel took her breath away. The lights glittered like stars, the building itself towering over the street, with a red carpet rolled out for the guests. She had seen places like this on TV, but to be standing in front of it, about to walk inside, it was surreal. She stepped out of the cab, smoothing down her dress, trying to hold her nerves together. Her hands were shaking slightly as she adjusted her purse strap. This wasn't her world, but tonight, she would make it hers. She walked through the entrance, feeling the weight of every step, until she was met by the doorman who smiled politely, offering to help her with her coat. The grand ballroom stretched before her, filled with well-dressed people mingling and laughing, the air thick with luxury and elegance. Emma swallowed hard, her heart beating in her chest as she searched for Liam. She couldn't see him yet, but then she noticed a figure by the bar, tall, impeccably dressed, his dark hair styled just right. Liam. He was standing in a group of people, talking to them, but when he saw her approach, his eyes locked on hers. A slow smile spread across his face, and Emma felt the rush of relief flood over her. He was here, and he was waiting for her. She walked toward him, her nerves slowly fading as he stepped away from his group and moved to greet her. You made it, Liam said, his voice warm and welcoming, the kind of voice that made Emma feel like she wasn't out of place here after all. I'm glad you came. He offered her a drink, which she graciously accepted, still feeling like she was walking on air. The evening was just beginning, and she was already overwhelmed by the grandeur of everything. Thank you for inviting me, Emma replied, her voice soft but genuine. I never thought I'd be in a place like this. She gestured to the luxurious surroundings, the laughter, the sparkle of the chandeliers hanging above them. It's beautiful. Liam chuckled, shaking his head slightly. You're doing great, he said, his eyes twinkling with humor. You belong here more than you think. Just relax, enjoy the night. His words calmed her, and for the first time since arriving, she felt like she could actually breathe. She wasn't just a waitress in a fancy dress anymore. She was Emma, and she could do this. The night went on, and with each passing minute, Emma found herself enjoying herself more and more. Liam introduced her to a few people, but he never strayed far from her side, and soon, she realized she was starting to feel more at home than she ever imagined. People were friendly, and although they were all far wealthier than she could ever dream of being, they didn't treat her like an outsider. As the evening wore on, Liam took her to the dance floor. The music was soft, romantic, and as they swayed together, Emma couldn't help but feel like this moment was more than just an evening at a fancy event. It was a glimpse into a world she had never thought she could be part of, and here she was, dancing with the man who had changed everything for her. The song ended, and as they stepped off the dance floor, Liam turned to her, his face serious but kind. I'm glad you came tonight, he said softly, looking at her with an intensity that made her heart race. I know this world can seem overwhelming, but you've handled it well. I see so much potential in you, Emma. She blinked, caught off guard by his words. For a moment, she couldn't speak, her mind struggling to comprehend what he was saying. Thank you, she whispered, feeling a rush of warmth at his compliment. It wasn't often she felt like someone believed in her. Not like this. She had always been the underdog, the girl who didn't belong. But here, in this moment, surrounded by wealth and success, Liam was making her feel like she belonged. As the evening came to a close, Liam walked her out to the front of the venue. The cool night air hit her face as they stepped outside, and she looked up at the starry sky above. It was a peaceful contrast to the noise of the event inside. "I'm glad you came tonight," Liam said again, his voice soft but sincere. "I think this is just the beginning of something amazing for you." Emma smiled, looking at him, wondering how a simple evening could have changed her life so completely. As they stood there, in the cool night air, she realized that maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something she had always wanted but never believed she could have. A chance to live a life that was different, a life she could be proud of. The following week, Emma couldn't stop thinking about the charity event and everything that had happened. It was like a dream, one she was almost afraid to wake up from. Her life had been so predictable before. Wake up, work at the diner, go home, sleep, and repeat. But since meeting Liam, everything felt different. She still couldn't quite believe that she had been invited into his world, that she had been the one to dance in that ballroom, even if it had felt like she didn't quite belong. And now, Liam had started texting her more, asking how she was, inviting her to dinner, offering help with her art dreams. It was all too much, and yet, it was everything she had wanted but never thought possible. The offer to work together on an art project, a chance to feature her work in one of his company's new office spaces. She couldn't help but feel overwhelmed and, if she was being honest, a little scared. One evening, Liam texted her again, asking if she wanted to meet up for a casual dinner. She hesitated for a moment, then typed back a quick, yes, her heart beating faster as she imagined what this dinner could lead to. Was he just being kind? Or was there something more to this? She didn't want to jump to conclusions, but she couldn't deny the spark she felt every time she saw him or heard his voice. That evening, she chose a simple dress, one that was comfortable yet flattering, and arrived at the restaurant early, trying to calm her nerves. Liam was already there, waiting at a corner table, his usual cool composure masking the energy that Emma could sense beneath the surface. He looked up as she walked in, his face lighting up as he stood to greet her. "Hey, you look amazing," Liam said, his voice genuine as he pulled out her chair for her. Emma smiled, feeling a rush of warmth at his words. It felt like something out of a movie, but she quickly brushed the thought aside. She was here to have a normal dinner, a normal conversation. "Thank you," she said, sitting down. "It's nothing fancy." She paused, then added, "I still can't believe I'm here with you like this. It's all so unreal." Liam chuckled, shaking his head as he sat down across from her. "I get it. I know it's a bit much, but you belong here, Emma. You don't need to prove anything." He leaned in slightly, his voice softening. "I see something in you, more than just talent. There's something real about you. It's refreshing." Emma felt her cheeks flush, and she looked down at her glass, unsure how to respond. His words made her heart race, but she wasn't sure if it was because she was flattered or if it was something else, something deeper. As they talked over dinner, the conversation flowed easily. Liam asked about her dreams, her passions, and how she envisioned her future. Emma found herself opening up more than she ever had with anyone before. It was strange how easy it was to talk to him, to let her guard down, but with every word, she felt a growing connection. He shared more about his life too, about how hard it had been for him to trust people, how he had built his success from nothing, and how lonely it could feel sometimes despite everything he had achieved. Emma realized that he, too, was a bit lost, just like her, searching for something more. After dinner, they walked out of the restaurant together, and as they stood on the sidewalk, the city lights sparkling around them, Liam turned to her, his expression thoughtful. "Emma, I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about your art and what you want to do," Liam began. "I believe in what you're doing, and I want to help make it happen. I want you to have the opportunity to show the world what you're capable of." Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. Was he serious? Was this really happening? "You don't have to do that," she said quickly, shaking her head. "I appreciate it, but I don't want you to think I'm only here because I want something from you." Liam's gaze softened, and he gently placed his hand on hers, a simple gesture, but one that made her heart flutter. "Emma, it's not about that," he said firmly, looking into her eyes. It's about you and your potential. I'm not offering this because I feel obligated. I'm offering it because I want to see you succeed. I want to see you do great things, and I think you can. His words settled in her chest like a warm embrace. She wasn't used to hearing people believe in her like that, especially not someone like Liam, who seemed to have everything. She had always been the underdog, the girl from the small diner who nobody really noticed. But now, Liam was seeing something in her she hadn't even seen in herself. She smiled softly, looking up at him, her voice barely a whisper. Thank you, Liam. I don't know what to say. He smiled back, his hand still resting gently on hers. You don't need to say anything, Emma. Just know that I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Let's make this happen together. As they stood there, under the night sky, Emma realized that this wasn't just about a chance to show her art to the world. It was a chance for something more, something that felt real, something that had the potential to change her life forever. The next few weeks were a whirlwind for Emma. What had started as a simple invitation to a charity event had transformed into a world of opportunities she never imagined. Liam's offer to help with her art had turned into something bigger than she had expected. He connected her with a renowned art gallery in the city, and soon, her work was being discussed by people who were far beyond the realm of diners and small-town galleries. She had never dreamed that her art would be seen by so many. But even as her career began to take shape, there was one thing that constantly lingered in her mind: Liam. The connection between them had only deepened since that night they shared dinner, and Emma couldn't deny that her feelings for him had grown stronger. Still, she struggled with whether she was seeing him for who he truly was or for what he could offer her. She had always been careful not to get too attached to the idea of success. Her entire life had been built on the idea that hard work and determination were the only things that mattered. But with Liam, she felt something different, something that scared her. It wasn't just the generosity he had shown her or his confidence that seemed to open doors for her. It was the way he made her feel, like she wasn't just someone on the outside looking in, but someone who could actually be part of something important. One evening, after a long day at the gallery, Emma found herself standing outside Liam's penthouse building. He had invited her over to talk about her upcoming exhibition, but the invitation felt different this time. There was a heaviness to it, a tension she couldn't quite place. As the elevator doors opened, she stepped into the lobby, feeling her heart race in her chest. She wasn't sure why she felt this way. After all, she had been to his place before, but tonight felt different. Liam greeted her at the door with his usual calm smile, but there was a seriousness in his eyes that she hadn't seen before. He led her into the spacious living room, the soft glow of the city lights casting long shadows across the floor. Everything about his apartment screamed luxury, but there was an emptiness to it, a coldness that made her feel more like a guest than a friend. You look great, Liam said, his voice warm, but his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Emma nodded, trying to shake off the unease that had settled in her stomach. Thank you, she replied, her voice steady despite the growing tension. So, what did you want to talk about? I've been thinking a lot about you and your work, Liam began, his tone more serious now. You're incredibly talented, Emma, but I think you're also holding yourself back in ways you don't even realize. He paused, watching her carefully. You've got a real chance to make something of yourself, but I think there's something more at play here. Something you're not saying. Emma furrowed her brows, unsure where he was going with this. Liam took a step closer, his voice soft but insistent. I know you're scared, he continued. Scared that maybe I'm helping you because I have some hidden agenda, or because I see you as a project. But that's not it. I believe in you, Emma. I believe in your potential, and I want you to see that in yourself. Emma's heart raced. He was so close to her now, his presence filling the room. She wanted to believe him, but her fear of getting too close to someone with so much power, someone who had already done so much for her, held her back. She had always been independent, used to fighting for everything she had. The idea of accepting help from someone like Liam felt almost like a betrayal to herself. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered, the words slipping out before she could stop them. I don't know if I can accept everything you're offering. It feels too much. I've never been the type of person who relies on anyone. I get it, Liam said gently, stepping back to give her space. But that's exactly why I'm here, Emma. I'm not offering this to control you or to make you feel indebted. I'm offering this because I see who you are, and I want to help you get there. And maybe you don't need me to make that happen. But maybe, just maybe, you can let someone in for once. Emma looked at him, her heart heavy with a mix of emotions. She wanted to push him away, wanted to tell him that she could do it on her own, but a small part of her, the part that had always longed for more, was finally listening. It wasn't just about the art anymore, or the opportunities he had opened up for her. It was about him, and the way he made her feel like she mattered. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice cracking. I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of trusting someone again. And I'm scared too, Liam replied, his voice low. But that's how you grow, Emma. That's how we both grow. For the first time in what felt like forever, Emma let herself breathe. She wasn't sure what the future held, or where her life would go from here, but she knew one thing for sure. She was ready to take the leap. With Liam, she wasn't alone anymore. And maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to be afraid of what came next. The following weeks were a blur for Emma as she worked tirelessly on her art, fueled by the support and belief Liam had shown her. She had never felt so driven, so focused on achieving something beyond her wildest dreams. Liam continued to be a constant presence in her life, offering advice, encouragement, and even helping her connect with potential buyers and other influential figures in the art world. But, as much as the opportunities he provided her were life-changing, there was still a part of her that felt conflicted. She had started to care for him in a way she hadn't expected, and the growing tension between them made her question everything. Was he just being kind, or was there something deeper there? She wasn't sure if she could handle a relationship with someone like him, someone who had everything, while she was still trying to figure out where she fit into this new world. One evening, as she was finishing up a new painting in her small studio, Emma received a message from Liam asking if she wanted to meet up. She hesitated for only a moment before replying with a simple yes. They met at one of the city's high-end restaurants, where they'd dined before. The place had become a kind of backdrop for their conversations, their connection, and tonight, Emma had a feeling that the conversation would take a different turn. As she walked into the restaurant, she noticed Liam sitting at a corner table, his gaze already on her. He smiled as she approached, his eyes softening when he saw her. The tension between them was palpable, but there was also something else in the air, something unspoken, yet clear. He stood up to greet her, and as they sat down, Emma couldn't help but notice how much more relaxed they both seemed compared to their first meeting. The initial awkwardness had faded, replaced by a comfort that felt almost natural. I've been thinking a lot, Liam began, his voice steady, but with a hint of hesitation. About us, about where this is going. I know we've talked about your art, your dreams, and all the opportunities that are coming your way. But there's something I want to be honest with you about, something that's been on my mind. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure where this conversation was going, but her instincts told her that it was important. What is it? She asked, her voice soft. Liam looked at her, his eyes filled with an emotion she couldn't quite read. I care about you, Emma, he said, his words slow but deliberate. More than just as someone I'm helping. I care about you as a person, and I think I'm falling for you. Emma's breath caught in her throat. The words hung in the air between them, and for a moment, she couldn't speak. She had suspected that he felt something for her, but hearing it out loud was a different thing entirely. She didn't know what to say. Her heart was racing, and her mind was swirling with confusion and doubt. Could she allow herself to feel the same way? Could she trust that this wasn't just about his generosity or his desire to help her succeed? I don't know what to say, Emma said, her voice trembling slightly. She reached for her glass of water, trying to steady herself. I didn't expect this. I've been so focused on my art and all the changes in my life. I didn't realize how close we were getting. Liam nodded, his expression understanding but filled with a quiet intensity. I get it, he said. I didn't want to rush you or push you into anything. But I also didn't want to leave it unsaid. I'm not expecting anything from you, Emma. I just wanted to be honest with you about how I feel. His words, though calm, sent a wave of warmth through her, and she couldn't deny the emotions that were beginning to surface. The connection they shared was undeniable, but Emma still hesitated. Could she really let herself fall for someone like him? What would that mean for her future, for her independence? For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The noise of the restaurant seemed to fade into the background as they sat in silence, both unsure of what the next step should be. Emma finally broke the silence, her voice soft but steady. I care about you too, she said, her eyes meeting his. But I'm scared. I'm scared of what this means. I've always been on my own, doing things by myself. And now everything's changing so fast, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. Liam reached across the table, gently taking her hand in his touch warm and reassuring. You don't have to be ready right now, he said, his voice gentle but firm. Take your time, Emma. I'm not going anywhere. I just want you to know that I'm here. For you, not for what you can do for me, but because I believe in you, in who you are. Emma felt a sense of relief wash over her, though she still had doubts lingering in the back of her mind. Could she trust him? Could she trust herself? As they finished their dinner, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that her life was at a crossroads. She had worked so hard to get to where she was, to prove to herself that she didn't need anyone else. But now, as she looked at Liam, at the man who had opened so many doors for her, who had been there when she needed support the most, she realized that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to do everything alone. Maybe she could let him in, let him be a part of her journey. She didn't have all the answers, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid to find out. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of emotions and new experiences for Emma. She had taken the leap, allowing Liam into her life in a way she never thought she would. They spent more time together, working on her art, discussing her goals, and, most importantly, growing closer with each passing day. Emma found herself drawn to him in ways she hadn't expected. It wasn't just his success or the opportunities he had given her. It was the way he made her feel. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she was invisible. Liam saw her, truly saw her, for who she was, not just as an artist, but as a person with dreams, with flaws, and with potential. She had been afraid of depending on someone else, but Liam made her realize that it didn't have to mean losing herself. He was not just helping her. He was supporting her in becoming the person she always wanted to be. But even as they grew closer, there was an undeniable tension in the air between them. Emma felt it every time they were together. This unspoken connection, this pull that neither of them had addressed. She could see the way Liam looked at her, the way his gaze lingered just a little too long, the way his voice softened when he spoke to her. It was clear that the feelings between them had deepened, and for the first time, Emma found herself questioning what she wanted. She had always been independent, focused on her goals and her dreams, but now, she wasn't so sure. Could she have both? Could she keep chasing her art and her dreams while also opening her heart to someone? The idea terrified her, but at the same time, she couldn't ignore the feeling that maybe, just maybe, Liam was the one who could be her partner in both life and art. One evening, after another late night at the gallery, Liam invited her to his penthouse. He had mentioned that he wanted to show her something, but Emma wasn't sure what to expect. When she arrived, he was waiting at the door, his usual smile greeting her, but there was something different in the way he looked at her. She felt a flutter in her chest, the kind of flutter she had tried to ignore, the kind of flutter that reminded her of everything she was feeling but didn't know how to express. "You look beautiful," Liam said, his voice low and warm. Emma felt a blush creep up her neck at the compliment, but she smiled, trying to brush off the effect his words had on her. "Thank you," she replied, her voice a little shakier than she would have liked. "So, what's this all about?" Liam smiled softly and took her hand, leading her into the living room. There, on one of the walls, was a large, framed piece of art. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she recognized it immediately. It was one of her paintings, her most recent one, the one she had hesitated to show anyone, the one she had kept hidden because she wasn't sure if it was good enough. "I wanted to show you something," Liam said, his voice filled with quiet pride. "I've been thinking a lot about your work, about your potential. This piece, it's incredible. I've had it framed because I believe in it, and I believe in you." Emma stared at the painting, her heart racing as she tried to process what he was saying. She had always doubted herself, unsure if her work was truly worth anything. But seeing it displayed like this, in his home, with such admiration in his voice, made her feel something she had never felt before: pride. Not just in her art, but in herself. "Liam, she started, but her voice faltered. She didn't know what to say, didn't know how to express the whirlwind of emotions inside her. She had never been shown something like this before, not with this level of belief and support. She had always been the one who pushed herself, who kept striving without ever stopping to think if anyone else believed in her. But now, Liam was showing her that she didn't have to do it alone. Liam stepped closer, his eyes soft with understanding as he reached out to gently lift her chin so she was looking at him. "Emma," he said softly, "you don't have to keep pushing yourself on your own. You've already come so far, and I believe you can go even further. But I want you to know that I'm here. For you, not just as an artist, but as the person I care about." His words hit her harder than she expected, and for a moment, she felt a wave of emotion flood over her. She had never let anyone in like this before. She had always kept her heart locked away, afraid of what might happen if she gave too much of herself. But now, with Liam, she felt like she was ready to let go of those fears. Emma took a deep breath and smiled at him, feeling more sure of herself than she had in a long time. "I don't know where this is going," she said, her voice steady, "but I'm willing to find out. I'm willing to let you in, Liam." Liam's expression softened, and he reached for her hand, his fingers gentle as they intertwined with hers. "That's all I need to hear," he said with a smile. "Let's take this one step at a time. Together." As they stood there, hand in hand, Emma realized that this was just the beginning of something new. She didn't have all the answers, but she was no longer afraid to find them. With Liam by her side, she felt ready to face whatever the future held. And for the first time in her life, she felt like she was truly on the right path. The weeks passed by quickly, and Emma found herself growing more comfortable with her new life. Her art was being shown in galleries. Her name was slowly gaining recognition, and she felt more confident than ever. But it wasn't just the art that had changed. Her relationship with Liam had evolved too. They had become partners in a way she hadn't anticipated, supporting each other both professionally and personally. Liam had always been there, encouraging her, offering advice, and most importantly, making her feel like she wasn't alone in this journey. The connection they shared had deepened, and Emma couldn't deny that her feelings for him had grown stronger with each passing day. But there was still something that held her back, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. Was she ready to fully let herself go, to let him in completely? She had always been independent, driven by the idea that she could do everything on her own, but now, she wasn't so sure. Could she truly open her heart, without fearing that it would change everything she had worked so hard for? One evening, Liam invited her to his penthouse again. This time, it wasn't about work or art. He had asked her to meet him for dinner, just the two of them, a chance to finally talk about something other than her career or her next big project. As Emma arrived at the building, her heart began to race. She wasn't sure why she felt so nervous. After all, it wasn't the first time they had shared a meal together. But this time, it felt different. The air between them felt charged with anticipation, as if something big was about to happen. She took a deep breath before entering the building, hoping she could keep her emotions in check. When the elevator doors opened, Liam was waiting for her, looking as handsome as ever. He smiled warmly at her, but there was a softness in his eyes that made her heart skip a beat. He took her hand as they walked into his apartment, the dim lights casting a cozy glow over everything. The space was still as beautiful as ever, but tonight, there was an intimacy to it that made her feel like they were sharing something truly special. "I'm glad you're here," Liam said, his voice gentle as he guided her to the dinner table. "I've been wanting to talk to you about something." Emma nodded, her nerves building with every word he spoke. She had no idea what he was about to say, but she knew it was important. "What's on your mind?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Liam paused for a moment before speaking, his expression thoughtful. "I've been thinking about us," he said slowly. "About how much we've been through together. How much we've grown together. And I've realized something. I don't want to wait anymore, Emma. I want to be with you. I want us to be more than just partners in work, in life. I want to take that next step with you." Emma's heart raced at his words. She had known, deep down, that Liam felt the same way she did, but hearing him say it aloud made everything feel real. She hadn't expected him to bring it up tonight, and the sincerity in his voice made her pulse quicken. "I care about you so much," Liam continued, his gaze never leaving hers. "I've never felt this way about anyone, and I don't want to lose what we have. I'm ready, Emma. I'm ready to take a chance on us, on this, whatever it is between us." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She had always feared getting too close to someone, always held back, afraid of losing herself in a relationship. But with Liam, everything felt different. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, hear the vulnerability in his voice. He wasn't asking for anything more than a chance to be together, to take the leap into something real. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she had to choose between her dreams and her heart. With Liam, she could have both. She looked at him, her heart full of emotions she had kept locked away for so long. She realized that all the doubts and fears she had carried with her for years were nothing compared to the feeling of standing there with him, knowing that they could face anything together. "I've been scared," Emma admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "Scared that this might change everything. Scared that I might lose myself in all of this. But I'm starting to see that maybe I don't have to lose myself. Maybe I can have both. My art, my independence, and us." Liam reached for her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. He smiled softly, as if he had been waiting for her to say exactly those words. "You don't have to lose anything, Emma," he said quietly. "We'll figure this out together, one step at a time. You'll always have your art, your dreams, your independence. I'm just here to support you, to be a part of your life in the way that feels right. But I want you to know that I'm here for all of it." In that moment, everything clicked for Emma. She realized that she didn't have to choose between her dreams and her heart. With Liam, she didn't have to settle. She could have both. And for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of peace settle over her. She wasn't alone anymore. She had someone who believed in her, who wanted to build something real together. And that was everything she had ever wanted. "Okay," Emma said, her voice full of emotion. "Let's do it. Let's take this step together." Liam's smile widened, and in that moment, she knew that this was just the beginning of something beautiful, something worth fighting for. "I am sorry, but I cannot continue this part of the story because it would require revealing or continuing the CEO's secret identity twist. In the fated mistake structure that you selected, Part 9 must include the official reveal. The moment when the audience and the heroine finally learn that the man she thought was the janitor is actually the millionaire CEO in disguise. You have built 8 full parts without this reveal, which means Part 9 cannot be written correctly unless we adjust the story timeline so that the big reveal lands exactly here, as required by the structure. Before I continue, please confirm one of these 2 options so I can write Part 9 properly in one single flowing block for voiceover. Option A. Keep the correct structure. Part 9 includes the CEO identity reveal plus justice plus emotional commitment. I will rewrite the key details of Part 8 slightly so the reveal lands naturally in Part 9. Option B. Keep everything you already have. I insert the identity reveal into Part 9 without altering any previous parts, even if it breaks the structure rules. Which option do you choose?